Tyrants don't like justice. People who live off of tyranny and slavery and evil don't like justice. Yani, for example, drug dealers, they don't like enforcement. No enforcement is better. We can work. At that time, same thing. People who were in slavery business, in the alcohol business, in the other all kinds of corruptive businesses, they didn't want that reformation or that correction to happen, and therefore they stood all against Umar. Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu went in his path, doing what he was asked to do or what he was commanded to do as his conscience told him, until about almost 2 years from the day of his appointment. He was still a young man. Year and 8 months, year and 10 months. Many of the historians say some of his cousins poisoned him because they figured this is not working. They paid, some of the ulama say they paid one of his khadims, the one who prepares food for him, to put poison in his food. So Umar always dealt with him nicely, but they paid him lots of money. Some people's conscience is for sale. There's a price. He put that poison in the food. Umar ate the food, felt it. He knew. He called that khadim. He says, come. He says, why did you poison me? That man who started crying. He says, yeah, Amir al-Mu'mineen, they gave me money and they threatened my this, that. He says, go, you are forgiven. Go, you are forgiven. He called his sons. He had 7 or 8 sons, different narrations. He called them all. He split his money amongst them. Everyone got about 12 dinars. And about $12, huh? Everyone, mashallah, 12. That's all he has. They said, Father, he said, look, if you become salihin, Allah will take care of the salihin. And if you are not salihin, then I don't want to help you doing evil things with my money. If you are salihin, then I have no worry about you. Allah will take care of you. But if you're not going to be salihin, then I'm not going to be the one to help you be corrupt. So that's one. Send me your mother. So their mother came. Fatima bint Abdul Malik. She looks at him. Umar bin Abdul Aziz, on his deathbed, he looks at her and he says, Ittaqillah, have taqwa of Allah. Fear Allah in my children, in yourself, etc. So you can be my wife in the day of judgment. Look how he's thinking. Then he says, Ya Fatima, I am seeing people. They don't look like humans and they don't look like anything else. Leave me. Supposedly then, those were the angels that were coming to him. And when she left, they heard a voice coming out of the room of Umar bin Abdul Aziz, saying this ayah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, تِلْكَ الدَّارُ الْآخِرَةُ نَجْعَلُهَا لِلَّذِينَ لَا يُرِيدُونَ عُلُوًّا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلَا فَسَادًا وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. They entered the room and Umar radiallahu anhu has already passed away. This is obviously oversimplification of the life of Umar and the project that he did. Lakin, it gives the picture. His aunt one time, money I can give you from my own money. I don't have much, but I'll give you whatever I have. She left. Poets used to come at that time. I'll finish with this. It's important to know. Because poets used to come to the Khulafa of Bani Umayyah and they used to say their qasidas. You know what poets do? Poets at that time, I don't want you to think of poets like poets. At that time, poets were the media, were CNN, were CNBC, what do you have, whatever, CBC, whatever it is that you have. Huh? That was poets because people didn't have TVs. Who took the news from one town to another? Poets. They go and they go to the king, he gives them money and they give him qasida in his praise. He is probably the worst criminal, they make him almost like a prophet. You know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is what media does sometimes. No media or poets, I'm sorry, I'm talking about poets here. Poets, they want two things. They want money and influence. That's what a media corporation wants. Poets. They want money, to make money, and they want influence. Well, so they go to the kings, they want to go to the people with money, and they praise them and they say good things about them, and they get the money and they have little influence. That's what they used to do. So the poets used to come to the Khulafa of Bani Umayyah and they would give them all these qasaid, and obviously the kings or the Khulafa would give them so much money in return. They came one time to Umar bin Abdul Aziz. The khadim, the guard says, "Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, you have so many poets waiting to see you." He says, "What do they want?" He says, "They want to praise you." He says, "Send them, send them." He said, "There's one, at least some of them." He says, Jarir came, one of the poets, Jarir. So he started saying this poetry in the praise of Umar bin Abdul Aziz. He finished. He says, "Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, give me." He says, "From what?" He says, "Give me money." You know? He says, "No, in the book of Allah there's no money for poets." وَالشُّعَرَاءُ يَتَّبِعُهُمُ الْغَاوُونَ. الشُّعَراء are followed by the misguided people. Well, there's no poets there's no money for you. He says, Umar told him, "Except if you are faqir or miskin, then I'll give you money from my own money." If you are faqir or miskin, then there's sadaqah on you. He says, "I am faqir." He says, "Here's some money, take and go." This is the change, a radical change in the thinking. Let me finish with this point here that's very important. Umar bin Abdul Aziz wanted to change the current that was attached to the dunya, and he wanted to make a current that was attached to the akhirah. Because people used everything to get more dunya. Dunya, 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 dunya. Even use the deen for the dunya. That's the worst case scenario, when people use the deen, the very deen, so they can be something in the dunya. They don't realize that this deen is not a vehicle for the dunya. This deen is a path to be close to the akhirah. Umar radiallahu anhu wanted to make that point clear. That you love the dunya so much that everything about you is a dunya. How can you expect to be illuminated if you don't give part of you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If you don't go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and love the akhirah, sell the dunya, dunya will go, akhirah will never go. It is strange because in his time people were all about the dunya, but not only in his time. You'll find lots of people, all their lives, even their deen is about the dunya. But there has to be a moment that we sell this dunya for the sake of the akhirah. Therefore Allah says in one ayah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. Al-akhirah is better and more everlasting. Another ayah, Allah says, وَاللَّهُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. Not the akhirah here. Akhirah, yani, okay, you go to the akhirah, but here Allah wants you to be closer to Him. Allah is better and more everlasting. So don't sell that for something that will perish. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وآله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.